Hey, podcast listeners. Gossip Grid here, your guide to F1's paddock elites.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Gossip Grid. Here to give you all of everything you need to know about F1 and pop culture. And we are starting off with a huge story today. And it's huge because, there's no other way to describe it. Harry Styles did a Shoey on stage. Not only is it in the middle of his concert, but in Australia, in Perth, where Daniel Ricciardo is from. AKA, the inevitability of them meeting continues to grow stronger. Their bromance is real, and it's just gonna happen. But I woke up to that man doing a Shoey, and I was like, they're channeling each other's energy. So, Harry Styles, Daniel Ricciardo, figure it out, go get lunch. Thank you very much. And as long as you just post a picture of it, because I need that as my wallpaper forever. Thank you. We are starting to get our first pictures of lovely Zhou as the LuluLemon China Campaign ambassador. We were getting some really lovely pictures of him in their recent athleisure wear for males. He's sending Charles, really giving him a good run for his money. There's a lot of great winking pics out there, but it's definitely really interesting to see that LuluLemon, particularly in China, is trying to grow their brand in a really certain way and appeal to a really specific younger demographic audience. And they thought Zhou was a great ambassador to be not only an elite athlete, but someone that is a face in the fashion industry. So they felt like they were hitting multiple nails on the head. And they're right. He's an unbelievably great fashionista, for literally lack of better terms, and it's important to have that as a brand ambassador, and I'm hoping to see some really sick LuluLemon fits at the paddock this year. But the man knows how to take a great photo and can drive a car really fast, so it's a perfect pairing. We had Sir Lewis was out on the town in London after the British Art and Film Awards, the BAFTA Awards. There was a huge after party with British Vogue and Tiffany Co at the Annabelle Club. It's like a really private club that a bunch of rich, famous people spend a lot of money to get a membership to, similar to Soho House in the US. But Lewis was photographed with everyone. There's a wonderful, beautiful picture of him and the British Vogue editor-in-chief, because guess what? You want to look like you know what you're doing in terms of fashion. Lewis is a great person to have there. But he got to hang out with a bunch of really great people like Anya Taylor-Joy, Angela Bassett was there, Florence Pugh, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jamie Foxx. It was a studded list. Lewis was in a custom outfit, and he had leather straps on his sleeves to mimic attire, but most importantly, he was wearing a Tiffany Co brooch that most recently was also worn by Michael B. Jordan at the Creed 3 premiere. So that's a beautiful connection. I would love to see them together, and Lewis looked absolutely stunning and amazing at this event. Vanity Fair France gave us an in-depth interview with Esti Bestie. This was entirely in French, so this is basically kind of Gossip Grid meets Google Translate. They talked to him all about different racing movies and his perspective on it, and of course he gives a lot of input about, how important movies are and the perspective of the driver. And no surprise, Rush is his favorite racing movie. I think it's my favorite racing movie as well. It's an incredible story, and you can't complain about getting any Chris Hemsworth. He's a great James Hunt. And we got to hear about Esti talk about his experience with working with Niki Lauda, which was really interesting and great. Also, surprisingly, amongst all of these movies, they included Ricky Bobby. So when they're talking about F1, then hearing Esti Bestie talk about Ricky Bobby Talladega Nights, very, very different. But if you haven't seen Rush already, what are you doing? Definitely go see it. And last but not least, we got a beautiful diary entry with Alex Albon and the Players Tribune. It gave a really unique perspective of his time as a reserve driver with Red Bull, what it was like going through that whole process and the ups and downs of his entire journey. Apparently, he revealed he also, when he was looking for a new seat, has an Excel spreadsheet CV that is color-coded, breaks down his times, and I want to see it. I'm also intrigued that this is a man after our hearts.
I also create Excel spreadsheets to prove a point.
Exactly. That's why I needed to share that, because he's like, not only did he say he was handing out his resume in the paddock, but he made it in Excel and color-coded it with like data and times, and I'm like, wow, so I really want to see that. This is also, I think, again, we're looking at a really interesting point in F1 where it is a very cutthroat sport, but with the growing fan base and having more fans that maybe are not only just fans of teams, but fans of drivers, and as more drivers lose their seats and become reserve drivers, but maybe still have a really strong fan base, is there now kind of being an opening space for maybe drivers don't have a career on the grid, but they're able to still produce content elsewhere and have fan base heavily? Look, I'm just thinking it could be really interesting that I don't think we get a lot of that self-directed. This is nothing to do with Daniel Ricciardo being a reserve driver.
Everything always has to do.
It always does. But who knows, it's very interesting. It gave a really beautiful perspective, especially from Alex being with Red Bull at the time that he was. Definitely go check it out if you haven't already. And shout out to Alex Albon for being the PR king that we know and love. And that's everything we got for this week's Gossip Grid. We'll see you next time. But I wanted to give a big thank you to VoiceOver Man and our four-legged producers. Make sure you are turning on auto downloads and that you rate and review the pod after listening. You have no idea how much this helps us out. Lights Out is this weekend, so hey, Apple Podcast listeners, help us out with our goal of getting 5 reviews by Bahrain, which is this weekend. So please let us know what you like, what you love, what you'd love to see us try out and maybe do. If you have a segment idea, we'd absolutely love to hear it. Follow us on every single social media platform. Maybe you prefer one over the other. Doesn't matter. We are at Gridwalk Show everywhere, offering you some daily grid walks. And we'll be back every Thursday, and we hope you join us. Today was like an entire grid race and not a grid walk.